lot of nuts!
Welcome back, hyenas, to the world's first episode of Meme News. On today's episode, a kirked up white boy gets assassinated by a furry, only to have his wife start dry humping the Vice President of the United States, all while an AI-generated music track about his death goes viral, while his face is plastered over every meme you could possibly think of. Sound interesting? Let's get into it. If it isn't obvious already, today we're talking about Charlie Kirk and the incredible amount of memes that have come ever since his assassination. Obviously, with a news headline and enough people talking about something, it's going to overtake what everybody's talking about on the internet and as a result in more memes. But usually with it being the biggest meme topic on the internet for some amount of time, the individual that people are making memes of usually has some sort of grounding in the internet space. But as far as I can tell, Charlie Kirk, prior to being shot, was a political commentator who debated kids on college campuses, much like old Ben Shapiro clips. And the biggest thing that he was known for prior to being assassinated was having a creepy smile.
What does fetus mean in Latin?
What the I'm sorry, is this
It means little human being.
Ooh, his smile is very creepy. Okay,
Smiling is creepy?
no, your smile specifically.
Got it,
But
thank you.
let's go back.
Somehow, despite spamming TikTok and every other place on the internet with all the highlights of his debates amongst these people, and on like Jubilee's 25 versus 1, where everybody sits around and thinks, you've seen the clips. I know you've seen the clips. They've got millions of views. I cannot believe that the number one thing out of all of this manipulation of the algorithm that you're doing to pump more content into it to make yourself look good, and the biggest thing that come out of that in the meme space is the fact that your smile is 80% gums. And to be fair, man, it really is like 80% gums. Meat Canyon, Papa Meat, is pretty well known for sort of disgustifying, caricaturizing every time he draws somebody, they look a little bit ugly. They look a little bit disformed. They look malnourished. They exaggerate the wrinkles and everything in their face. That's his art style. I would argue this is the most accurate depiction of an individual that he's not even really giving him that much more gums. Sumito, is this entire video just going to be you clickbaiting a bit of world headline news so that we can take a look at a bunch of ugly pictures of somebody who's dead? Isn't this in poor taste? First of all, yeah, I don't know why you're expecting more out of me. This is where I live. But more importantly, I think it's important for you to understand that this is genuinely the only online notoriety that this guy had. He went a little bit viral at the peak of his career prior to getting assassinated as just a dude with an ugly smile. His clips debating right-wing talking points amongst college students, he didn't even do the thing that Ben Shapiro was doing 10 years ago very well. Nobody even knew him from that unless you were already into that sort of content. In the meme space, he was the dude with the ugly smile, and that's it. And it's important to understand that so that you can see the unbelievable disconnect between how irrelevant this guy was on the internet to how much of a messiah he became after getting shot. All right, so the big event takes place September 10th, 2025. It's very easy to remember that date because it's right before September 11th, which as an American means something, but if you're not American, I guess that's not an easy date for you to remember. Anyway, Charlie Kirk is doing the thing that he has always done, which is he is found at a college campus debating right-wing talking points with students. When live streamed to a bunch of different videos that were posted all over Twitter, the second that it happened, the dude's neck explodes. Blood gushes out everywhere. I do not recommend you go and watch the video. It's relatively graphic, and everybody is under the impression that Charlie Kirk was dead on the spot. News reporting a few hours afterwards say that he was rushed to a hospital and then he was in critical condition, but just a little bit later, I believe the following day, it was confirmed that the dude had passed away. Twitter specifically did not seem to give a shit. Now, the internet, generally speaking, doesn't really have any qualms against making memes about individuals who had been killed, assassinated, or died. If there's even a relative amount of humor in it, the internet's gonna rake you over the coals with it. But Charlie Kirk specifically, again, wasn't really somebody who was all that well known. For all anybody knows, this is just a random college shooting, which, as unfortunate as it is in the United States, is not necessarily world news worthy every single time that happens, because it happens all the fucking time, right? But Charlie Kirk specifically was pro-gun laws. He was under the impression that gun laws were good as they were, everybody deserves to have a gun, and was very famously quoted as saying it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment, which was clearly in response to being asked a question about school shootings. Evidently, somebody asked him, why should we be allowed to have guns as freely as we do if children are being shot in school? And his response was, hey, listen, it's unfortunate, but that's the price you got to pay. Sometimes people get shot on a college campus, and that's the price you got to pay if you want people to have guns. And then subsequently was shot to death on a college campus. Oh boy, that spews just the tiniest bit of irony, doesn't it? I'm sure the internet is not going to have a field day with this exact fact. Spoiler alert, the internet proceeded to have a field day with this exact fact, not only because of the irony of Charlie Kirk being pro-gun and then dying to a gun-related incident, right? On a college campus, nonetheless, where the conversation about gun control is at its peak is regarding school shootings, right? But also because following the heels of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, who was shot in the ear by, somebody while doing a speech. This is another right-wing individual, this time the bullet hitting, but, at a basis was shot at and was a right-wing politician. As a result, perhaps more than necessary, a number of right-wing figures on Twitter took to showcasing their concern for political violence. J.D. Vance, a number of other people. Donald Trump himself tweeted out, prayers for Charlie Kirk. I hope he's okay. His wife is currently pregnant or young or has 2 young children, whatever the situation was. Everybody was talking about how Charlie Kirk was a hero because he was standing up for their political beliefs, and they wanted everybody to know, hey, we're going to take this seriously because this is basically the same thing as trying to assassinate Donald Trump, which only added more fuel to the fire of everybody on the other end of the political spectrum, or people who just wanted to laugh at the situation because, hey, it is a teeny bit ironic that the dude who was so for gun violence, if it meant you could have guns, was ultimately ended. I mean, come on, that's ironic no matter what political side you're on, right? At this point, you're probably wondering who did it. Who was the guy who shot Charlie Kirk? I mean, he was on the University of Utah's college campus. Surely we can probably assume it's somebody who worked there or went there as a student. And it turns out that it was Tyler Robinson, a student at the University of Utah who evidently had been planning this, knowing that Charlie Kirk was coming, shot him to death using his grandfather's rifle and was promptly arrested after returning to retrieve that rifle because he was worried that his dad was going to get mad at him for using his grandpa's rifle and then losing it, despite, you shot a guy with it. I feel like you should be worried about that. Anyway, the right side of the political spectrum is now trying to paint this guy as a leftist. Why? Because he shot a right-wing commentator. We want to make it seem like the other side of the politics is now the one attacking us, right? They want to play that card. So they're trying to paint this dude in any way that he can. Is he a leftist? Is he a gamer? Is he trans? A furry? What other things can we mischaracterize this guy as in order to paint him as much of a left-wing, psychopath as we can? And unfortunately for everybody, they were dead on the fucking money. After the police realized that the old bald guy who screamed that I did it was just a major distraction, which for some reason took several days, they put out some information talking about who they believe to be the actual suspected shooter, that being Tyler Robinson, providing some pictures that they had from the location. After learning the name of the suspected shooter, people took online to try to discover as much information about this individual as they could, much like they did with Donald Trump's shooter and much like they did with the guy who shot the CEO. What is his name? Mangione. Much like that, they wanted to dig up everything they could about this guy's socials. So they posted his name, they posted all of his socials, and they discovered that the dude's got a Steam account. And in the Steam account, he's got a bunch of stickers that seem to be coming from a furry game. That furry game in particular is Furry Shades of Grey. So it turns out this dude probably is into furry gay stuff and was able to find his Deviant Art account from that. So it turns out the guy's into furry gay porn. But you don't need to do a bunch of online digging to do that, because he made a bunch of furry gay porn memes on the bullet casings that he used during the shooting, which resulted in the funniest fucking police announcement I think I have ever watched live.
Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist!" exclamation point, "Catch!" exclamation point. Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao Ciao," and a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO."
Working backwards, obviously, if you're reading this, you're gay, Lamau is just, it is what it is. It's an internet meme that's been around for a while. The Bella Ciao lyrics are evidently from a song about the Italian Revolution. It's an anti-fascist thing. The "notices your bulge ooh-woo" is from this image, I believe. That's basically just age-old, cringy, furry roleplay copy pastas effectively. This meme's from like 10 years ago, but it's a furry meme at its core. And then obviously the "Hey fascist, catch this," followed by the up, right, down, down, down arrow symbols, is the code to activate the Eagle 500 kg bomb from Helldivers 2. So a video game reference, a furry meme reference, a general internet meme, and then only one actual kind of cryptic thing that he etched into his bullet casing. You did not need to go diving into this guy's social media to discover that he was a bit of an internet degenerate and a furry. He fucking told you. Following all this information being released about Charlie Kirk's shooter, the internet continued to just keep making memes about Charlie Kirk, basically along the lines of the guy was in favor of not enforcing more gun controls. I mean, can you really be surprised when you end up being burnt by the candle that you lit, or whatever the saying is? And the right side of the spectrum is just infuriated that people are not treating Charlie Kirk's assassination as a huge deal. This was the most important person in the fucking world who just got shot. Can't you see how serious this is, says the right side of the political spectrum. And as a result, they start to take it way too seriously, in my opinion. There is a Twitter account and a number of different people who are just dedicating their time to doxing individuals making fun of Charlie Kirk or speaking in favor of Charlie Kirk's assassination. If you're not somebody who is grieving at the thought of this guy being killed, well, then we're going to call your fucking your employers and try to get you fired, try to dox all your information, make it unsafe for you to be able to even leave your house if you don't bend the knee to the almighty Charlie Kirk. South Park notably had to pull an episode. They have never done this. They have made episodes the night before they've gone live and evidently pulled an episode that was in reference to Charlie Kirk's assassination in one way or another, probably because of the backlash that they were seeing that everybody was receiving online. Now, Trey Parker, Matt Stone put out a statement stating that we didn't pull it because of that. We just missed a deadline for the first time in 20 years, if you can believe it. But the verdict's still out on what exactly that situation is. Most interestingly, though, it doesn't exactly seem like everybody on the right side of the political spectrum is so heartbroken over the murder of Charlie Kirk. Rather, it seems like they're just moving to try to make this a political play, none better amplified, embodied by the fact that Charlie Kirk's own wife went on to speak a month after his assassination, and in the middle of talking about her late husband, takes the opportunity to endorse Vice President J.D. Vance, sparking a number of other rumors that J.D. Vance might be fucking Charlie Kirk's wife.
No one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in J.D. and Vice President J.D. Vance. I do.
So almost immediately, like a month after the guy gets shot, what should be his grieving widow of a wife should probably be speaking to, I don't know, end gun violence, secure more security around this sort of stuff. You know, maybe it isn't all bad. No, she is taking every opportunity to cozy up with the President of the United States, to embrace the Vice President, to endorse the Vice President and say that he reminds her of her late husband in the same breath, clearly in an effort to just try to take all of this attention that she has as the wife of this guy who was just killed and turn all of that into right-wing fuel and get as much attention to Donald Trump and his presidency and anybody around him. It's a teeny bit gross to watch, and is it any surprise that people who aren't taking Charlie Kirk's death very seriously are just seeing the right side telling them to take it seriously For what? So that you can use it for more political gain? This back and forth between the right wing trying to turn this into a very serious thing, but only for the purpose of advancing their political motives, and the left side just continuing to make memes out of it. This push and pull is what has bled into some of the stupidest memes that could have possibly happened. Let's take a look at both. Enter the Kirkification of every meme you could have possibly thought of. Probably, and listen, I'm connecting dots that maybe shouldn't be connected here, but I'm trying to put together a timeline that makes sense for me. And you're watching a video because you want to be informed, so what are you even bitching about? Shut up. Fueled by the fact that it's very clear that Charlie Kirk's own wife doesn't give enough of a shit about him to not use the clout from his death in order to advance herself personally. Why the fuck should anybody in the meme space care at all about respecting this dude when instead we could be making funny memes? Now, relatively low-level memes? Absolutely, relatively low-level memes. The sheer number of memes that have been Kirkified is mind-blowing. Charlie Kirk as the speed my mom is kind of homeless gif. Charlie Kirk as the Zam guy from that thumbnail finding out she's only 14 years old. Charlie Kirk as the Cobby lame animatronic. Charlie Kirk saying I'm in as the Damon, I think his name is Damon from Shark Tank. Charlie Kirk as Elon Musk playing Path of Exile 2. Charlie Kirk as a loading screen from Grand Theft Auto 5. Charlie Kirk as Drake on the Take Care cover. Charlie Kirk as Neo from The Matrix. You and I both know why this is a stupid fucking version. Charlie Kirk as Kim Jong-un. Charlie Kirk as Kash Patel. Charlie Kirk as Mia Khalifa. Holy fuck, this one's good. Charlie Kirk as Dream from the face reveal. Charlie Kirk as Tokyo Ghoul. You see what I mean by the back and forth? Do you appreciate the fact that I had to explain the whole political backing to why people are making these sorts of images online? I hope you do and aren't just commenting, oh, Sumito's getting political again. You have to understand or these memes don't make any fucking sense. You're not going to appreciate the shit. You can't appreciate me if you can't appreciate the memes if we aren't all Charlie Kirk is my point. I'm saying that because we have to get slightly more into the political side of things, right? So, people continue to make fun of Charlie Kirk. Partially, in fact, because it's funny that they're getting a rise out of it and it's pissing off the right, but also because it's clear that the right isn't even taking this very seriously. They're just trying to use his death as a pawn. I've said this 100 times, right? So, the right side of the political spectrum has started to get pissed off. They are seeing that people on the internet or people around the globe aren't necessarily taking this Charlie Kirk thing seriously, and they need people to take it seriously. Otherwise, they've spent all this money building up his wife to endorse the president for it to all mean nothing if it turns out Charlie Kirk wasn't that important of a person, right? So they decide to start attacking the memes. They decide to say, hey, you think it's so funny that you're making fun of Charlie Kirk? Well, what if we start making fun of somebody you guys idolized for dying? What about George Floyd? I can't find a ton of memes about this, but basically a bunch of people on the right were making more memes making fun of George Floyd's death, going, haha, not so funny when it's somebody that you idolized, right? But that one didn't really carry much steam. However, over the course of time, and I think just over this last week, right-wing Charlie Kirk pro-supporting whatever the fucks have started to make memes about Junko Furuta, which was a Japanese schoolgirl who was kidnapped, constantly and perpetually raped and mutilated. It was like the most horrific crime to come out of Japan ever, and has started to make memes comparing Charlie Kirk to her, because the memes comparing Charlie Kirk to George Floyd were really obviously fucking stupid. Now, I'm under the impression that people were thinking, look, it's not so funny when we make fun of this 14-year-old schoolgirl who was brutally mutilated and raped over the course of several months in one of the most horrific deaths ever known to man, to an innocent girl. not so funny when a guy who wants more guns gets shot, is it, leftards? Okay, I know I'm reading out a tweet from 2 weeks ago from somebody who probably has like 5 followers and the tweet itself has 2 likes, but I gotta provide some source so that you guys know I'm not just pulling this shit out of my ass. Anyway, Junko Furuta shitposting is inherently cringe because it artificially began as a reaction to Charlie Kirk's shitposting, which developed organically after his assassination. It's on the same level as shock/torture porn film, and that's why it only appeals to low IQ cattle. It's not just that it's joking about her obviously disgusting sexual torture, but that it happened almost half a century ago and is only now being joked about in reaction to comedy about some bum whose career was predicated on rage-baiting college students. It is unironically worse than George Floyd's shitpost. That shit only happened a few years ago. No shit, weird fucks were gonna joke about it, but now they joke about Junko only because a lot of leftists find some Kirk assassination shitpost funny. It's to an obvious extreme. So, the right decides that they're going to start shitposting about a horrific incident in an effort to showcase, hey, not so funny when you make fun of a dead guy, is it? Only to kind of have it blow up in their face a little bit because anybody with a working brain is going, no, the torture and murder of a schoolgirl who never did anything wrong is not exactly as comparable to a guy who got shot, spending all of his time advocating for more guns. So if at any point you were scrolling on TikTok and wondered why you bumped into a picture of a Japanese schoolgirl from the late 80s with her face swapped with Charlie Kirk, who in turn also had his face swapped with I Show Speed, making the face from the My Mom's Kind of Homeless meme, now you know. And I'm sorry in advance. Just to be clear, I'm painting it as if it's the right-wing people making these memes about Junko Furuta. The reality is that it's just convenient to say it that way because that's sort of how this storyline is flowing, but I don't know who originally started Junko shitposting, but like they're all kind of gross and stupid, and I don't feel bad for saying that those memes are kind of gross and stupid, but I also don't know who started it, but this is why it's popping up now. I hope you understand. What might be the single stupidest meme to come out of this entire Charlie Kirk situation is actually not a meme at all. It is an AI-generated gospel rock anthem by Splalexma titled We Are Charlie Kirk, which is currently going viral in a number of different TikTok trends and is being called the newest national anthem in celebration of Charlie Kirk. Now I'm going to play a cover of this sung by Lyric Helm, who does a fantastic job at capturing the energy off of this. But if I use the actual song, I hope you understand this whole video would just get claimed and then that money would get dumped into making more AI generated Charlie Kirk music, and I just can't be having that.
We are Charlie Kirk, we'll carry the flame, we'll fight for the gospel, we'll honor his name. We are Charlie Kirk.
Last but not least is the meme of Charlie Kirk's late wife being 8 weeks pregnant when Charlie Kirk's died 10 weeks ago. It's basically just this one tweet of the Charlie Kirk face swapped I Show Speed gif titled Erica Kirk is 8 weeks pregnant, Charlie Kirk died 10 weeks ago, implying that Erica Kirk has already been impregnated by somebody else, obviously hot on the heels of her cozying up to JD Vance and Donald Trump and whom have you. Obviously, or maybe not obviously, I don't believe this is true. There are a number of people talking about whether or not Erica Kirk is pregnant. It is probably to everybody's benefit to just not deny these rumors and let more people talk about Charlie Kirk's wife as much as possible because they want as much attention on that story. But no, there was an interview where Erica Kirk stated that she was praying that she was pregnant after hearing news of her husband being assassinated, hoping in some way that they could have another baby that she could maybe feel like is, I don't know. It's something she said in an interview, didn't really hold any legs, but now there's this meme going around, and so people are bringing up that clip from that interview. So that's all this is, which much like everything we've talked about is nothing. Anyway, I think that's pretty much everything that I had in my notes about this timeline. It was a little bit sloppy to put everything together in a way that it felt like they connected, but I hope you enjoyed my attempt at trying to cover all of the memes to come from Charlie Kirk's death alongside the actual story. Hopefully you saw some memes that you enjoyed and now have a better understanding of why they are becoming as popular as they are. This is kind of what I do all the time with every video. So if you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Yeah? Spisu.